This one is just like saying, oh, he says I shouldn't tell.
Party. Apparently,
he lives with his sister.
Yes, he says he lives with a woman who he claims is his sister.
Okay.
This woman may or may not have been cooking for him every morning to bring to work. We don't know. We haven't confirmed.
Looks like of late he brings food to work.
Okay. It seems like the pieces are falling together.
Oh, okay. But he's still my in-law.
As for you, dear, you walk by faith.
Yes.
He's living with his sister, okay?
No fear in my life.
Yes.
Faith in Kutin.
Yes, he lives with his sister.
Let's get into
his pastor cannot know about. Okay. Well, our inspirational song was brought to us by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows.
And let's get into our Drive Safe campaign, brought to us by Joy News and the Multimedia Group, and supported by Toyota Superior Quality and Imperial General Assurance Solid Protection. So avoid all distractions, keep both eyes on the road and hands on the steering wheel, be visible, drive with your lights on at night, and that's how you drive safe. I don't know whether I'm the only one who's experienced this, but have you realized that a lot of our street lights don't function?
Oh, but this has been like a perennial headache.
Yes. Yeah, so you're driving.
Night driving is crazy.
And look, because of the kind of work we do, we have to be at work very early, and it's so painful driving at dawn in this country.
Yeah,
I don't like night driving, also because the street lights don't work. But of course, in the morning at dawn, you have no choice but than to be at work.
Yeah,
and these guys drive carelessly. Oh my goodness!
We've already paid for these lights. We have paid for them to be on. So where's the money? What are they doing with it instead of keeping the lights on? Anyway, let's get on with it.
Let's learn how to say it right then.
Brought to us by Kingdom Books. At Kingdom, quality and affordability are their hallmarks.
Something must be done.
You say either. I say either.
I'm bored. Now, what do I mean when I say that? I'll give you a hint. It does not mean I am angry. I've noticed that some people use bored to mean upset or unhappy. That may or may not have originated from the pidgin expression, I bore, which means I'm angry. But in English, I'm bored simply means I am uninterested in or unoccupied by any current activity. It originates from an old Germanic word, boron, which means to be tiresome or dull. So there you go. If you always knew the real meaning of the word, good for you. If you just realize you've been using it wrongly all this time, make you no more. Because now you can say it right. Who thought boredom could be so interesting, huh?
Let's rock and roll, baby.
All right, well, there you go then. Make you no bore.
I no bore cry.
Nice one. News review now brought to you by First Atlantic Bank. Refreshingly different.
I'm sure later on people would find a way of explaining this. Meaning change. They'll tell you, oh, the word has undergone meaning change.
Oh, my friend, the meaning hasn't changed.
I was telling Kojo the last time how, you see, ordinarily, vehicles, everything in Ghana is a car. Then you now ask what kind of car. And he'll tell you what it is, right? It's just like how everything became V8 is Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
The rest are not V8. It's undergone, we have our own way of doing things. And these are subjects of research, for those who study English language. They love these things because, they want to research. And, look, for instance, I have a friend who tells me they've been researching into Ghanaian broken English. And they're actually writing Ghanaian broken English. Yes, Ghanaian broken English. So it's it's a subject of research. Very fantastic one.
Yeah, we have our own terms. That's how come we are all holding graphic this morning.
Yes, we're all holding graphics this morning.
That's why we all use Pepsodent.
You see, that's meaning change. That's meaning change. So the subordinate term becomes a superordinate term. We'll find a way of doing it
Winston,
in Ghana.
they're left to him alone. We'll remix the whole English language.
Oh yes. I am in
We
favor
shall
of
resist.
that. I don't.
The old guard will stand.
No. I think that language is dynamic. So today,
the minute you start saying language is dynamic, what you are saying is that people shouldn't bother to study it. People shouldn't bother to apply it. Meaning is everything.
I haven't said
if
that.
everybody's going to choose their own
haven't said
meaning,
that.
it's like when people say, I'm speaking my truth. How many truths are there?
Well, I mean, I haven't said
The one
that.
he believes in.
But I mean, there's a whole concept of nativization. Anyway, let's get into the chronicle for this morning. I say it's always good to research those things. Let's get to the chronicle for this morning. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 25. It is a snare to say rashly, it is holy, and to reflect only after making vows.
Hey.
Yes, listen to it now. A victory speech pledge. Mahama to return Unibank to Dufour. Don't you just love the chronicle? Now, Mahama says yes, he's going to give, for the banks that were collapsed, he's going to give them, give back their licenses to them. He's also going to have a TS banking system, so, for different, segments of the population. But that's the Chronicle's headline. Anyway, let's move on. 4 charged with fraudulent land sale at Sakomon Ramza site. We'll come back to talk about this particular, pledge by Mahama. And failed LPG cylinders must be properly secured whilst transporting. That's according to the NPA. What's become of the cylinder recirculation program? And, we talked about it some time ago. When I was growing up in Ho, actually, there was a system like that. So they have these, cylinders, and then they come to your house, you give them yours, and you take one.
Yeah.
It was simple. You just give them your cylinder, empty cylinder. They give you one you use, and that's the end of it. They always made sure that they had no leakages, and they were working.
In fact, one of the companies was captured in Kojo documentary about some districts, one factory, I think, that documentary, yeah.
Some districts, some factories.
Some factories, yeah. But one of them was captured about a company that had been set up to do this particular work, and because the policy was not being implemented, it meant that they were not getting the market that they were supposed to be getting. I think following the gas explosion, that's when a lot of conversations centered around this, that this was going to be the model that we're going to be implemented. But we are still far from seeing that happen fully, and so we are still using the current model of you take the cylinder to the station, you fill it up, and you take it back home. That's what we are still doing for now.
Great. Now, talking about Mahama's pledge, let's just listen to it, okay? Samuel Mbura has found that for us. So let's listen to it.
To grow our economy and create sustainable employment for our youth, we will restore indigenous Ghanaian investment in the financing and banking sector. And we will create a tiered banking system that will serve various segments of the market. We will give the opportunity for experienced banking hands who were laid off and needlessly to secure their careers once more and move away from the menial jobs that they were compelled to take. As far as practicable, the banking licenses that were unjustly cancelled by this government will be restored.
The catchword is
as far as practical.
Yeah, that's the
And
catchphrase.
then there's also a condition in there, unjustly.
Yeah.
So which ones were justly cancelled, which ones were unjustly cancelled?
And how practical is it restoring? Yeah. So that's the analysis that will be done, and we'll realize that if no one's license is restored, we'll point you to those two phrases.
Or if only one license is restored.
No, but that is why this is just what he said. He said it yesterday. And one of the things I've learned, beg your pardon, following the whole conversation about 1D, 1F, where the NPP said, we said we're going to collaborate with the private sector. Check our manifesto. But you went round everywhere and, actually indicated the resources in every district that you're going to, leverage on in building a factory. And then you came into government and then you promised every district 2 million Ghana cedis as equity funding for one district, one factory. But that notwithstanding, they found space in their manifestos to say, well, that's what we said in our manifesto. You didn't probe it. I'm saying it's very simple. Look, of course, you've studied law. You know that we'll look at everything and come to a conclusion that this is not what you actually meant. But in the case of Mr. Mahama, it's not going to be just, him saying as far as practicable. What is as far as practicable? We must break it down, have that conversation.
Yeah, because the starting point obviously would have to be what is the status of those banks. So because there are some of those banks that the matter has been litigated. The licenses were revoked. They went through the process, was litigated. The court affirmed the decision to revoke those licenses. So those ones, what are they ones that you can return to them? That's one question. There are others too that was not litigated at all, but the nature of the ownership of the bank has changed significantly.
Exactly.
So can you now, like the ones that formed CBG, can you disintegrate CBG and give a license
here's
back?
your bank back. This is yours.
Well, we can have that conversation. We can have that.
Hey,
So that's a conversation to have.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, we'll have it. We'll have it.
As practical.
Yes, as far as practicable. And the back page says today's Champions League semi-final clash. Inter aim to finish job against City rivals AC Milan, and Barcelona is Messi's home. That's Laporte, talking about Messi.
Yeah, we won the La Liga over the weekend.
I know.
Yeah, against our City rivals, Espanyol.
Espanyol, yeah. You've done well.
Oh, very well. Very well.
Xavi's done well.
Oh, he's done well. This is his first full season. He came midway. He took us, we were around 11th. He took us to second. And at this particular season, he has managed to. As someone says, it's not like Arteta.
But why are guys? Look, Arteta is a fantastic coach.
Yeah, he is.
Arteta is a fantastic coach.
He is.
You see, when you are Arsenal and your squad is your first 11, Ghana Airways.
Sentence. You want people to cry.
That's what will happen.
When you
to
are Arsenal, what a sentence.
When you're Arsenal and your squad is your first 11, Ghana Airways. So same one goes, same one comes. When one person is injured or one person loses form, like in their case, Saliba gets injured, Partey loses form, end of Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I agree with you, because even if you look at Man City, the players who were doing well at the start of the season, like he's mixed it up completely.
Yes.
And so at every point in time, you have a very competitive team that is willing to get you the points that you need. And so that's how come they are winning the games when it matters the most.
Look at Man United. When it became obvious that Harry Maguire would do his thing, Luke Shaw had to play as centre back. He's doing well. Now, when Varane returned from injury, gets into the team, Luke Shaw goes back to his full-back role. It's that simple. But as for Arsenal, Arteta, how can a young man be supporting Arsenal? Why? You want broken heart? Anyway, let's go on.
The front page of the Finder now. Some good news. Transport fares reduced by 10% effective tomorrow. And that story is on page 5. Yes, transport fares.
Forgive me if I'm naive, but has that happened before?
Oh, yes,
it's happened. Yes, it depends on the how the fuel prices are moving generally, and so
people went to their trotro and were charged less.
So it's supposed to happen starting tomorrow.
You say it happens.
Yes.
Last year it happened. It happened
Okay.
last year. So last year when the city started appreciating, and when fuel prices were reduced, we had a lot of conversations about it. They actually reduced it last year, and they're going to do it again this year. Transport plays a major role, beg your pardon, in the rate of inflation. And so once transport fares are reduced, and mind you, all the conversation we have been having lately is on how we can reduce inflation. It affects a lot of the things we do. See, lending rates are very high because of the rate of inflation. And even government itself, the treasury bill rates are high because government also, in tackling inflation, has actually increased the policy rate. And so when you're going to get money, for instance, you'd have to get it at a higher rate. So it's good if transport fares are reduced. What that would mean is that all things being equal, inflation would come down in the next month, and we'll be good to go. But
in fact, what the Finder does is to try and trace how the fuel prices have been behaving over the period. And so they make reference to February 26, where there was a 15% increase in the cost of transport. The transport unions wanted a 30% upward adjustment, but after meeting, they agreed to a 15% increase. Then in May, transportation fares went up again by 20% after the price of petrol and diesel shot up to a national average of 9.41. Again in October, transport fares went up again by 19%. And so then came the road transport operators reducing transport fares by 15.3% in December. And so that was when the fuel prices went down, like Winston was talking about. So with the dominance of the private sector, they're expecting that the groups that fall within the unions here would obey, and they are urging their members. So mainly the GPRTU, and this is coming from the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. They signed that with the GPRTU.
About 15%, right?
yes, last year.
That is significant.
It is.
So the cost of transporting people came down by 15%, but the cost of transporting goods didn't go down. Did prices, did prices also
That's
come
an
down?
interesting question, because I'm wondering how goods are generally, how it's computed, because maybe those vehicles like we are looking at the pure cargo trucks. I'm sure those ones are very different from. Mostly what is affected is just the circle to La Paz or Kaswa to circle. Those ones we just bring it down. I don't see, and even this particular statement, it came with, there's a back page that has the prices, the breakdown.
And there were no cargo.
Exactly. I've never seen any for cargo.
No. You wouldn't see that. That's
But do cargo truck drivers not fall under any unions?
I would.
I think they have a union. Yeah.
I'll call that a fair value analysis. It's, you and I determining how much we want to. How much you should pay me, for instance. But pricing in the informal sector is such that sometimes becomes very difficult to actually know what leads to price increases. So they can tell you, for instance, Nyama Boyading, and you would ask, they don't know. They tell you Nyama Boyading. And I've always made this example, Kojo, about, sitting with a lady who operates a restaurant, and she gave me, all the things she buys. So she says, when I buy goat at, say, 800 Ghana cedis, I make a profit. I cut them into a number of slices. And when I sell them, I would get about 1,315. But when we did all the calculations, we realized that, for instance, she also would have to buy tomatoes and everything. But that one comes free of charge. So you'd have to increase something in order to make up for that. Okay. So at the end of the day, for instance, we said the conversation was, how about I reduce the size of the meat? I say people may complain. So how about I increase this, the prices, for instance? So people would understand. But how about you just increase just one of it to take care of it? So which one can we increase? Then we say, let's increase this one. But today, if you had someone selling and tells you, you ask, so now that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So a lot of them just would also look at their situation. That's the business they do. So, whatever their needs are would have to be gotten from that.
Transportation is an input into almost every product and service. Yeah. So, when the price of transportation goes up or down, I think every business person should consider its impact on the cost of producing whatever they sell. It's only fair. It's not only unions that can do mathematics. If you own trucks, you can do maths too. You spent less at the fuel pumps this month compared to last month. How are your customers benefiting from that? If they are not, there's a problem.
Profiteering.
Yeah. And some other stories here. Despite paying 10 billion cedis to contractors in 4 years, government owes us over 16 billion cedis. That is the road and building contractors carrying out, and 2 granted 10,000 cedis bail each over illegal connection, and Ghana lacks processing capacity to ban raw material exports. That is also on the front page of the Find. I'll quickly do that of the Daily Statesman. Has that story about transport fares going down by 10%, and winning 2024 will be a major hurdle for Mahama. That is one senior lecturer at KNUST. $600 million first tranche IMF bailout ready. Has a photograph of Mohammed Amin Adam, the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. The back page has, it feels like there's no hope. Arsenal's title dreams fade, and has the right photograph. Look at Thomas Partey there. He has his shirt over his face. He's not crying. I'm sure he was wiping off sweat. But
anyway, the daily guide for this morning: OSP chases money-throwing NDC MP aspirant. Comes with a photograph of Juliana Wasan. $600 million IMF cash hits BOG this week, and Haja for real extradited to the US in $2 million romance scam. I mean, it's been making news.
On social media, a lot of people were asking, so what is a romance scam? I noticed a lot of ladies posting that romance scam and also no day. Isn't it fascinating that it seems to be an alien concept to these ladies that there can be a romance scam? As far as they are concerned, maybe all is fair in love and war. So if I say send me money and I'll come to your house, and you send the money and I don't come, it's not a scam.
It is actually. Prepare your handing over notes, Mahama, to NPP, and Amanasi Chief begs Oche. Now, the back page says parties form dipped at crucial time. We've talked about that, unfortunately, for party.
There's this message on one of our earlier discussions about the Mahama BOG thing. And so it says here that the fact that a court has affirmed revocation of a bank's license does not preclude the parties, especially the BOG, from compromising the judgment. Except for criminal judgments, parties are entitled to compromise a judgment. So he gives an example that you evict a tenant, you decide to allow them to stay. So even if you go through a legal process, you take them out, the court says you can evict the person, then you still allow the person to stay.
You yourself, who won the judgment, you can compromise.
So like the BOG revoking a license and the revocation being affirmed, but nonetheless the BOG allowing that, okay.
My question is, how would you do that practically?
Yeah.
How will you practically return the assets to the original owners?
Yeah.
Anyway, the online review is brought to you now by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy.
Well, Goyle, your oil marketing company of choice, keeps making life so convenient for you. Goyle now accepts Momo for all fuel purchases. So just remember to Momo it at Goyle, and that's not all. You can also use your bank card. That's all bank cards to buy fuel at Goyle. Drive to the nearest Goyle station now. Buy your fuel, pay by Momo bank card or Goyle Go card. Visit Goyle social media platforms, Facebook, Goyle.official, Instagram, Goyle_GH, and on Twitter, Goyle_official for more information. On the service stations, you can conveniently use Momo. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle. Yeah, dear.
That tragic story is on myjoyonline.com. 7 dead, only 5 rescued alive. Many remain trapped underground. Eyewitness in Brim North Galamsey disaster. These things break my heart. You know, there are also those who are asking, NDC needs to instill discipline within its rank and file. Some George is saying that. I engaged almost 800 delegates directly ahead of NDC primaries. Sadiq Abdullah explaining the secret to his success. And NDC primaries in politics, people do not forgive. That's Muntaka. He said that on the Super Morning Show. It's time now for the BBC News, brought to us